This week, PARSHAS VAYERA, we have a special message for Gabi in honor of her Bat Mitzvah. It is a very eventful parsha this week. First, 3 guests who are actually angels appeared at Avraham's tent on a scorching hot day. They then foretold that his wife would have a son. Then we learn about the evils of Sodom. God said that he will destroy Sodom. Avraham prays for them. Lot invites angels there into his home, and the angels save him. But then his wife looks back and she turns into a pillar of salt. Avimelech abducts Sarah. He was then plagued. Avraham moves to Beersheba, and he was extremely hospitable. Yitzchak, who was born to Sarah when she was 90 years old and Avraham was 100 years old, Avraham sends away Yishmael and Hagar. And finally, Avraham is tested by Hashem, the final of the 10 trials. And he's asked to offer up Yitzchak. And he agrees, but he is stopped in the last minute. So yes, lots happened, but I want to focus on Avraham's extreme kindness. The Gemara in Sotah 19b says something very interesting. It writes that the mitzvah of Chessed, kindness, is greater than the mitzvah of Tzedakah, charity. It illustrates this with a number of examples. One is that Tzedakah can only be done with the poor, whereas Chesed can be done with the rich and the poor alike. The Maharal, one of the great 16th century thinkers, he understands that Chazal are not only teaching us that Chesed applies in more scenarios than Tzedakah, rather they are also teaching us that Chesed is intrinsically greater than Tzedakah. However, this needs explanation. If both mitzvahs are performed in the very same manner, one person giving to another, how can Chesed be intrinsically greater? The Maharal writes that it all depends on our motivation behind the mitzvah. If a person is only giving because something is compelling him to do so, like a guilty conscience or peer pressure or seeing someone else suffer, then the giver is performing the mitzvah of tzedakah, but not the mitzvah of chesed. On the other hand, if it comes from a self-motivated desire to give, to share, to help others, then there's no external motivation other than the fact that the benefactor is willing to give. That is so much more valuable. That is why chesed is a more valuable mitzvah. If the poor would disappear, then the mitzvah of tzedakah would also. But the mitzvah of chesed wouldn't, because it can be done even if there are not any people that need anything, because chesed starts internally from the benefactor's desire to give. Now, analogy will help crystallize this idea. Imagine if you have a person who always brings extra change with them when they go to visit the Kotel, the Western Wall, because they want to give it to the poor. Now, if they are giving it and bringing it because it pains them to see poor people suffering, then that's because they feel guilty. Then they are fulfilling the mitzvah of tzedakah, but not the mitzvah of chesed. However, if they had the loftier intention of giving the money because they wanted to help others, then their action of giving is elevated into a mitzvah of chesed as well. It's interesting to note that for this reason, if the recipient was not really a poor person but a crook, the giver has not performed the mitzvah of tzedakah, because by definition, tzedakah means to fill the void of the recipient. So, whereas when a person does chesed, irregardless of the void of the recipient, that's done because of the giant heart of the benefactor, who does it because they want to share. And that's what happened with Avraham Avinu in this week's parasha. He gave food and drink to angels who did not need food and drink. Consequently, there was no mitzvah of tzedakah performed. However, since Avraham gave because he wanted to help others, he did perform the mitzvah of chesed. Now, of course, tzedakah is an awesome mitzvah. Our sages tell us that the mitzvah of tzedakah not only eradicates all bad decrees, but it can also save from death. But we are talking relative to the mitzvah of chesed. And now we can understand why chesed is in a class of its own. One who performs this mitzvah does so solely with the intention to give, to share, and help others. It is truly a selfless mitzvah. And that's why it is greater, quantitatively and qualitatively, because now we understand that even though it's the same action of giving, and one does also the mitzvah of tzedakah, but the mitzvah of chesed depends on what motivates them. Gabrielle Eden, with your Bat Mitzvah celebration this week, this is my message to you. Your entire family, parents, grandparents, have all been and always will be beacons of true kindness and chesed. All I can say is keep that up. You know, the truth is, it's in your name. The gematria, the numerical value of your name, Aviv, is 130, which is the same as the Hebrew word hatzalah, which means to save. Saving and helping others is in your genes. And I can say firsthand that it comes from their true desire to give, to share, and to make the world a better place. Huge mazel tov wishes to Gabi, of course, and to Jeremy, Jonathan, who has done so much for me and my family, Laura, who our children so fondly remember, Anita, David, and the entire Zucker family. Enjoy the celebrations, and I wish everyone an enjoyable and restful Shabbat.
It's time to say good Shabbos, 'cause all your work is done. Gonna spend a day together with the Holy One. Say a special blessing on a cup that's filled with wine.